The court has carefully studied the record and found therein abundant evidence to support beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant, Smart Girls at the Party, is guilty of being amazing. Order! Order!
Smart girls have more fun.
Welcome to Smart Girls at the Party, the show that celebrates individuals who are changing the world by being themselves. With me today is painter, activist, botanist, feminist, and Ferris wheel rider, Judy Baca. Hello, Judy.
Hi,
Thanks
Amy.
for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Man, I love your work.
Thank you.
You're just a beautiful painter and artist. When did you start painting and at what age?
You know, I very early, I started to understand that I express myself through making marks on a page or painting. It was much easier for me to do that than speak.
And English was not your first language, right?
No, English was not my first language. And
So-
so early in school, it was a struggle, you know, to change coming from, you know, an entirely different culture into a classroom speaking English, into a whole sort of foreign experience. Mm-hmm. I remember this little girl I interviewed one time, and I said to her, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And she said, "I want to be an artist." And I said, "Really?" She said, "Yeah, because I like what I make, and I just want to do it all the time." And I think that's what I was. I was that kind of an artist. I was just thinking, I just want to do it all the time. So it was much more about me pursuing the passion, worrying about, you know, getting a second job if I needed to. Mm-hmm. And pretty soon, it became possible for me to teach and to produce the work and actually make a living at it.
Do you have what you consider a big break, a moment that you think about that changed your path as an artist?
Well, I think the biggest break for me really was painting in the river. When I started painting a half-a-mile-long mural with 400 kids and to reinterpret American history, and it just took me. I mean, I started painting one set of works for one summer, and then it began to be a snowball. And then summer after summer, people began to support that work, and I hired the kids, and we became a team that painted a half-a-mile-long mural.
So murals are its own animal, I'm sure. I'm sure it combines so many different aspects of painting and organization and, you know, thinking really big picture, literally.
Right.
What's the difference between making a mural and making a painting?
Well, making a painting is a solitary practice. Mm-hmm. And I was really not, I mean, I'm not really that kind of a solitary person as a painter. I find it kind of lonely, you know, when I have to do writing or when I'm working in the studio. It's more lonely. But actually, I can paint with 100 kids hanging off my neck and people all around me yelling and, you know, 4 different radio stations going on and producing something of scale and trucks moving and, you know, jumping on a lift. And so painting with a mural is really not solitary. It's collaborative and it's interactive. And you're dealing with the environment, the people who come by and say, "Hey, that's looking good," or "No, what's wrong with that guy? It doesn't look good." You know, so you're actually interacting all the time.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of like a public act.
I never thought about that when you're painting a mural, everybody gets to comment on the progress of it.
You're doing it in public. Mm-hmm. And you're interacting with people to do it because it's not a solitary thing. You can't do it by yourself. I mean, particularly if it gets to be really big scale. Mm-hmm. There's a number of you. And so it uses all your skills, your coordination skills, your capacity to work with people, to dream with people about the ideas they want to see represented. That's one of my favorite parts of it.
Oh, wow.
I mean, like one of the most public places I painted was on the Harbor Freeway in downtown Los Angeles. And literally, as I was painting a giant woman marathon runner for the 1984 Olympics, the truck drivers were going by and expressing their opinions about how I was painting her legs or, you know, like whether she was looking good enough, right? So really publicly in the public environment, watching people drive by as I was doing it.
That's a beautiful mural here in Los Angeles called "Hitting the Wall." Can you tell us your inspiration behind that, where that came from? I mean, it's a very, very famous mural here.
Right. Well, the Los Angeles Olympics, the Olympics were coming to Los Angeles for the very first time in 1984, and so they commissioned 10 artists to paint on the freeways of Los Angeles. And I thought, well, this is kind of a crazy idea. I mean, you know, like who wants to paint on a freeway? And what happened was that about the Olympics, I thought, oh, I don't really want to paint about the Olympics. I'm not like a sports mural painter. But then I realized that for the very first time in history, women were running in the Olympics the marathon run. And that was a critical moment in history, world history. And so I thought, I'm going to do this. This is going to be very cool. So a 30-foot woman, 100-foot long piece, on the freeway, right in the middle of traffic, I began my own marathon, a 9-month painting experience to tell the story of women coming through the obstacles, of people's perceptions of what they could do, to paint this giant woman called Hitting the Wall, Women in the Marathon.
Wow. Meredith, you ran a marathon.
Ran.
Meredith ran a marathon, and can you relate to that what Judy's talking about?
Okay, and you do. You definitely hit the wall, and you do have to just rely on will and spirit and friends who are standing there supporting you too. That
And
helps.
courage.
Do you ever ride past that mural with someone and you just casually mention, I painted that? I feel, do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I would make it a point whenever I'm driving to drive past that mural so that I could brag that I did it.
I have been known to say, let's take the next exit. And then you can be on my exit.
And then just
yeah.
go, if you want to look out the window, this is something else, little something I painted. Do you find that you have to answer to a lot of people with public art? Or like, do you have to get permission in a certain way with public art that you obviously don't have to when you're not dealing with the public?
It's troublesome. I mean, people have opinions, and it's like you have to have permissions for public spaces. And right now in Los Angeles, we have a tremendous problem with people using spaces with spray can works and not having places for them to do that work. And many of these kids are really fine artists. They're really good artists. So what we need is spaces for them to do that work.
Yeah, how do you feel about the idea? Because you see such beautiful work, but it can be a real bummer when something is defaced.
Graph art, right?
Yeah.
It's a bummer when somebody destroys somebody else's work.
I know, I've seen it before, and it's such a bummer.
That is bad. I mean, when you go, or they destroy property, like, but the spaces where somebody is actually given a sanctioned space to actually do a piece with enough time, without being on the run, then you get the best pieces. So I really advocate for sanctioned walls, so you can do a really good work.
I'm sure you speak to young artists all the time. How do you inspire them to keep going and taking risks and making art?
It's really important that you just go for it. That, you give yourself that space in which you can be wrong. You can just risk it. Make a big mistake in the making of something. If you're going to make something, just go for it and be wrong. So sometimes there's no wrong answer. So, you think, what are all these voices in your room when you're in the room when you're trying to make something in the studio? Well, first thing I do is I expel everybody who says no. And I invite everybody who says yes. And then I make all my wrong trials. And as I begin to refine sketches and begin to think about an idea, what pops up is the right idea. The one that actually just has legs, it begins to sing, and it talks back to you. And so I think it's very important for you to not be afraid.
Do you find, as we're interviewing some smart girls this round, we're kind of focusing on the idea that you can be a smart girl at any age. What's great about getting older?
The thing that's interesting about it is that I now have developed my capacity so that what is in my brain literally can come out my hands. And that's magnificent. Before, I really felt, as I was a younger artist, I was dreaming of something and I would try to make it. And it would be short of the idea. I mean, if I just would have changed that color, if I could just draw better. And now I really feel like I see it and I can make it. And that's what's better about practicing your craft, practicing your passion. And you just get better and better and better.
I completely relate to this because we were talking about the idea that just shorten the distance between what you say and what you do, what you want and what you do, what you feel and what you say. Like, it just becomes shorter.
You know what? I actually say that all the time. What I say is the distance between dreaming and making real is really very small.
Judy, we want to just end our interview like we end every interview with a very hard-hitting question. Okay. One that we need you to answer truthfully and honestly, and you have to choose one answer. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay. Would you rather be able to read people's minds or be able to talk to animals?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's tough, isn't it?
Isn't it? Because there are two really good ones. We've been trying to figure out.
I want to do
our answer.
both.
I'm so sorry, Judy, you can't.
Oh. Well, then
What
I
do you
think I want to read people's minds. Because I think it would be great to be able to then make the images for what they are thinking.
Oh, that's cool. There it is.
Talk to animals. That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
I would like to. Yeah, I would like to talk to animals. I don't want to hear what people are thinking.
It would be
Get a little-
tough. But if you could turn off the gift of reading people's minds, if you could decide when to do it, when not to do it, that might be good.
Oh, I didn't know that was part of it.
I don't know. We're just making it up as we go along. But maybe, yeah, hearing people's thoughts all the time would be a lot, wouldn't it? But you know, animals might be boring to talk to. I don't know.
You just say, I want a treat, I want a treat, I want a treat.
Yeah. They're just, they're like, how are you doing? They're like, I'm hungry. What are you doing? I'm hungry.
Yeah, you could pat my head right now.
Yeah. How was your week? I'm hungry.
I want to sit on your lap.
I think I'm gonna pick reading people's minds too. Sorry, animals. But we'll talk to you later. Judy, thank you so much for being here. It was such a pleasure talking to you. I love your work and I love listening to you talk about it, and it was really, really great to have you here.
Thank you so much, Amy.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
thank you.
It's such
well,
fun.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna end this episode the way we end every episode. 1, 2, 3,
Dance party!